Are you a new mom that feels completely overwhelmed? Or maybe you're even asking yourself, is this my new normal? Trust me, you are not alone. My name is Linda. I'm a mom of two, a mindset coach for moms, and I'm currently 9 weeks postpartum, which means I know exactly how you feel. I know how intense and exhausting and overwhelming the first weeks are. And I decided to share my what I've learned throughout this journey because I can definitely see the difference going through the whole process the second time around versus the first time. And it's because the first time I felt prepared. I went to the hospital classes, the lactation classes, the birth preparing classes, the how to take care of babies classes. So I felt prepared as much as you can feel prepared. And at the same time, I felt like I didn't know anything. So I want to share with you my journey because I know how big awareness is and how much it can change things in hopes that it will just help at least one mom. Because I remember how overwhelmed I felt and how lost I felt. And the first time around, it felt like it would never change. It felt like it was a constant feeling of overwhelm and it felt very lonely. So, I want to share with you my journey so you can be a little bit more prepared and maybe take some lessons from it. The first thing that really surprised me was how much is actually going on right after birth. Like we have our hormones that shift 180 completely. We have a body that needs to heal because either it's because of the placenta that detached from our body and left this huge wound, or it's because we actually have external wound. In my case, I tore with each pregnancy, which was very painful, and so I had to heal myself. Maybe in your case, you have a C-section you need to take care of. So there's this healing process that we need to go through. At the same time, we're trying to learn our baby's cues, trying to understand what our babies need, and if we decide to nurse, there's a whole breastfeeding journey, right? We're trying to make sure that we know how to latch the baby, when to feed the baby. We worry about is our milk coming in? Do I do this right? Do I nurse my baby too much? Do I nurse my baby too little? Does he actually get milk? Like, there's like constant questions and things going on because there's just so many moving pieces and we just never done it. And then lastly, we are just wired to take care of our baby. So not only do we have this hormonal shift going on, but literally our brains are rewiring and creating new connections because suddenly there's another human being and we are wired to take care of this new human being. What it meant for myself, I didn't have the mental space to take care of anything else. I remember with my first child, for each child, my mom came to visit us and she stayed with us for 5 weeks. And fortunately, it worked out that we had about 2 weeks before the pregnancy, before the birth, and about 2 to 3 after the birth, which was amazing because we had her as the support. And especially now, this time around, since I have a 5-year old, we definitely needed the support because we needed to make sure that he is fine while we take care of the baby. And I just remember with our first, she was there. It was probably like a week postpartum. And she comes in, she's like, "Oh, what should I make for dinner?" And her just asking me this one question sent my brain into overload because all I could think is, I don't know, because I literally did not have the mental capacity to think of anything else because I had my baby on in my arms, trying to figure out this nursing thing, trying to figure out if I'm doing it right, have my mind constantly going, is he too hot, is he too cold, should he wear socks, at the same time the body is hurting, and There's just so much going on that there is no space for simple questions like that. So I still remember how this simple question alone sent me into overload. So this time around, I was very upfront with both my husband as well as my mom. And I was like, hey, I really want to focus on the baby and myself to heal during the first weeks. Because the first time around, I went also out of the bed too fast because I felt as the mom, I had to do everything. I felt like I had to be there for every moment. And I already felt so bad because right after birth, I was not able to take care of my child, which is a completely different story. So there was some guilt about not doing the first diaper changes. Like my husband did all the diaper changes in the hospital. So I wanted to make up for it. So I felt like I had to be there and I'm the mom, right? So I need to take care of my baby. And all it did was it made the postpartum journey more difficult because I did not allow myself to process the whole thing, to enjoy the whole thing as much as possible, at least, and also just to heal. So, these are some of the things I did that differently this time around. I said to my husband and my mom, hey, the first 15 days, I want to follow the 555 rule, which essentially, if you haven't heard about it, is 5 days in the bed, 5 days on the bed, and 5 days around the bed, which means, in very simple terms, slow down. And it's a much more different pace. It's so different from anything you've probably done before because if you're anything like me, you're constantly doing something, you're working, you're taking care of your other child. If you have other children, you have the house to take care of, you have other events to go to, family, friends, and whatnot, your relationship there. So you're always going, going, going. That's at least me. Like there's a lot going on. And suddenly I realized, like, no, there's nothing going on. I was sitting in the bed for almost all day long because one, I couldn't move, and two, I had to take care of this baby. So I really asked them to support me this time so I could allow myself this healing because what I've learned in the last 5 years is how much rest is actually important and how much it changes things when we actually slow down, when we need to slow down, because it actually allows us to come out of this down phase faster and stronger. So, this was the first huge change. And I can tell you, it was freaking hard. In the first days, it was probably more, I followed the rule of on and around the bed because again I wanted to do too much, right? I got up to get baby out of the crib. I got up to do the diaper changes. And what I realized then is like, oh man, my body's hurting so much. I really can't do it. So I started to change it and I would ask my husband or my mom, hey, hand me the baby so I could nurse him, or I would let them do the diaper change. And making these little shifts is so beneficial and so important because that is exactly what will make the difference. Now, if you're asking yourself, how do you actually make this work? If you have another child and you stay in bed so much, one, my mom was amazing. She did some meal prep for us in the days leading to the birth. Two, we just she helped out with the cooking and the daycare pickups and all that stuff. So definitely it's helpful to have a support person around, if not multiple, right? Because there's so much going on. And two, we completely simplified our life, focused on really what's important. And so what we would do is we just, for meals, for example, we had our dinners in bed so that we all could share some time together. And one, that was so fun for my older son, and two, it was nice because we could all connect and be together, and it was just kind of like having a picnic in the house. And in the mornings, my son and I, we would have breakfast in bed. Fortunately, again, I'm so thankful for my mom. She would bring me all my meals in those first 15 days. I actually did not go downstairs other than having to go to the doctor's visits with my son. And that's it. That's the only reason why I got dressed up and I left the house. And other than that, I was upstairs in the bedroom. It actually was so far that my son asked me like, "Mama, are you ever going to come downstairs again?" I was like, "Absolutely. It's just I just need some time." Also, what I did is I had him watch something on my laptop so we could spend some time together. So I was really getting creative around the process that would allow myself to stay in bed, and then also having the support system who helped me out so I could stay in bed for the first 15 days. And while it was difficult, and by the end, I couldn't wait to get moving again. I 100% believe that this was a huge game changer for myself and in my healing journey. And for the times when, when the emotions hit and everything seems too much, give yourself grace. And in general, give yourself grace throughout this period. Really allow yourself to be the experience what it is with all the ups and downs. And something that with my first child, it felt like this newborn phase was never ending. It felt like it would never change again and it would always be like that. And then I realized, and then somehow we made out of it, right? This time around, I knew it's going to be a phase. It's just a phase. It's just why our babies are so small and they are so attached and they really need us. That's when it's when it's rough, but it's getting better. For us, it really was okay. The first 2 weeks, super intense. After that, felt a little bit better, but still emotional roller coaster, still a lot of ups and downs, still a lot of healing that needed to be done, getting familiar with baby. After 6 weeks, total shift. Why is this shift happening? Because we're starting to get used to things, right? We're starting to get used to our baby, starting to develop a rhythm. It doesn't feel like anymore like, oh my gosh. It feels a little better, even if those moments still exist. But what happened in our case is I could start to put him down for longer periods other than when he was sleeping. Like just like I say longer periods. Like we're talking about sometimes 2 minutes, sometimes 1 minute. But it's just so good to be able to put the baby on on a play mat or even just in the crib awake for a little bit to go to the bathroom without having the baby scream right away. Like yes, it's a lot of like I need to do this now and come back right away, but at least that's an option versus before I had to hand him off to my husband or how hold my son myself, and only when he was sleeping I would be able to do stuff. So after these 6 weeks, it will get easier. And that's the message I want to leave you with today. Because if you are stuck in these first weeks right now and you're like, oh my gosh, it will never change like this. Is this my new normal? Trust me, it's going to change. It's going to get easier. And what fascinates me is how fast our minds and our bodies overall get used to this experience. If you think about it, it took you 9 months to make this baby. So, what if you would allow yourself the same grace and say, you know what, I allow myself also to get used to this baby, to get used to these changes, get used to the new self, and so that you can enjoy this journey. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you would like to get more content like this, then please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.